Yo, what's up? What's up? So, we're gonna be doing today Masachet Nedarim. So, hello. Alright, so, um, this is really cool. Masachet Nedarim. It's Talmud, and I can have it. Excuse me, out for you guys over here. Talmud. Excuse me. However, I'm just gonna be reading it. Because I have, the book over here. So if you guys have it, probably pull it up. I don't know if I'll do it on the computer or on its own on the book itself. Okay, there it is. We'll see. All right. Kol kinuei nedarim kenedarim. Okay. Source. So now what we're gonna do is, alright, it's just gonna load. Alright. So little introduction. I heard we don't really know, who wrote the main commentary. So there's the Ran, and then the Rashi, who is the main commentary on the Nedarim. They say, I heard Rabbi Gadayev from Leshem on the YouTube. If you look him up, I heard he said we don't know who. What's up with this? I heard him say we don't know who wrote the actual Rashi script. I heard some other people say the same thing. So it's a mysterious author. The other commentary over here is Rabbeinu Nissim. I think his name is Rabbeinu Nissim. It's called the Ran. Rashi, Tosfot, Ran. Yeah, there you go. Ran. I don't know who really the Ran is, but that's the main commentary that they do. They do. I heard. All right, so we're gonna read it. God's help right now. Oops, sorry. Kol kinuei nedarim kenedarim. And if anything, we'll get the help from GPT. In case of anything. I'll just set it up just in case. All right. So just want to make sure everything's on. Okay. Whatever. No. All right.
Hey, how's it going?
Yo. What's up? Yo.
Yo,
Yo.
what's up? I hear you coming in with the beats. Let's keep that energy going. What's on your mind today?
All right. Just gonna keep him in the background just in case. All right. So, כל כינויי נדרים כנדרים וחרמים כחרמים ושבועות כשבועות ונזירות כנזירות. Alright. האומר לחברו מודרני ממך מפורשני ממך מרוחקני ממך שאני אוכל לך. Alright, so we're going to read the Rashi. כל כינוי נדרים, דעיקר נדר דכתיב בתורה, איש כי ידור נדר דאמר קרבן שאני אוכל. Okay. So we're going to ask the Chat GPT how he translates it. Yo, Chat GPT. Okay, so check this out. We got a piece of Gemara over here, or the start of the Mishnah. It says Kol kinuei nedarim kenedarim, right? And so the Rashi, right? Sorry, the Rashi, who is like the unknown commentary, but the main commentary says Kol kinuei nedarim kenedarim. Deikar neder deketiv b'Torah ish ki yador neder de'amar karban shani ochel lecha or karban shani nehene lecha. Okay, so what does it mean? 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 The ikar neder diktiv b'Torah. What is this whole thing where it says the ikar neder diktiv b'Torah?
Absolutely. Let's break it down. So when the commentary says the ikar neder diktiv b'Torah, it basically means the main or the fundamental type of vow that's written in the Torah. In other words, it's pointing out that the core example of a vow that a Torah talks about is when someone says something like, this thing is a korban, an offering for me, so I won't eat it, or this thing is forbidden to me like a korban, so I can't benefit from it.
Okay,
so
okay, hold on. Kol kinuei nedarim kenedarim. So, like, what is it trying to say with that? Kol kinuei nedarim kenedarim. What do you think so far, without the Rashi commentary, so far?
Sure thing. So if we just take that phrase on its own, kol kinuye nedarim kenedarim, it's essentially saying that all substitute terms or nicknames for vowels are treated like actual vowels. In other words, even if you don't use the exact formal wording of a vowel, but you use some kind of slang.
Okay. Kol kinuei nedarim kenedarim. Deikar neder deketiv b'Torah, ish ki yador neder דאמר קרבן שאני אוכל לך או קרבן שאני נהנה לך ואם אמר בלשון אחר בכינו נדר Okay, so what is this whole thing that is saying איש כי ידור נדר דאמר קרבן שאני אוכל לך או קרבן שאני נהנה לך ואם אמר what like And then it starts a new. Don't you think it starts like a new subject and says ve'im amar belashon acher? Like, how would you translate the whole like section before?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's kind of put it all together. What it's basically doing is first is saying, look, the main kind of vow that the Torah talks about is when a person literally says something like, hey, this is like a korban to me, so I won't eat it. Or it's like a korban, so I won't get benefit from it. That's the core example. Then it continues, it says, and if someone uses a different kind of language, like a substitute phrase or a slang term for a vow, it's still considered a vow. So it's kind of setting up.
Okay. Kol kinei nedarim kenedarim deikar neder dektiv b'Torah. The ikar neder, the main. How did you translate the main vow that is written in the Torah, right?
Yeah, you got it. So that phrase, the ikar neder diktu b'Torah, is pretty much just saying exactly that. The main kind of vow that's written in the Torah. So you're totally on the mark.
The main vow that's written in the Torah, ish ki yador neder de'amar karban she'ani ochel lecha O karban shani nehene lecha. Okay, so what does it mean? De'amar karban shani ochel lecha o karban shani nehene lecha.
Absolutely. So that part is basically giving you the classic example of what a Torah level vow looks like. When it says something like De'amar korban shani ochel lecha, it means the person is declaring this thing is like a korban, an offering, so I won't eat it with you. Or it's like a korban to me, so I won't get any benefit from it. In other words, they're using the language of a sacrifice or an offering to say, this is off limits to me. And that's like the standard, straightforward way a vow is phrased in the Torah. So that's all it's really pointing out. This is the main
Okay,
model of how
okay,
a vow is stated.
okay. דאמר קורבן שאני אוכל לך. Okay, okay, so this is saying this is how a vow is traditionally, according to a Torah level, is declared.
Exactly. You got it. So it's just laying out that this is the traditional Torah level kind of vow. Basically, if someone uses that kind of language, saying something is like a korban, so they won't eat it or benefit from it, that's the classic standard example of making a vow. And then from there, the text goes on to say, and even if you use other kinds of language, those count too. But yeah, you've nailed the idea. This is the main original form of how a vow is traditionally declared.
All right.
Awesome. So it sounds like that all clicked into place. If you got any more bits you want to unpack or anything else you're curious about, just let me know.
All right. So, כל כינוי נדרם, דעיקר נדר דכתיב בתורה, איש כי ידור נדר, דאמר, the main type of vow that is written inside the Torah, דעיקר נדר דכתיב בתורה, איש כי ידור נדר, דאמר is that he says, korban shani ochel lecha or korban shani nehne lecha. Okay, but what does it mean, korban shani ochel lecha? Like, what does it mean, korban shani ochel lecha? Like, what does it mean? The sacrifice that I eat is to you?
Yeah, totally understandable that it's a bit of a tricky phrasing. So when it says something like korban sheni ochel lecha, it's not literally that the sacrifice I eat is to you. What it really means in context is more like this thing is like a korban to me, so I won't eat it with you. Or it's like a korban for me, so I can't benefit from it with you. Basically, you're using the word korban to say this is forbidden to me, like an offering would be, and therefore I'm not going to eat it or benefit from it with you. It's just kind of a way of saying this is off.
This thing that I'm eating with you is like a korban to me. De'amar korban she'ani ochel lecha. Like literally, that what I'm eating to you is like a korban to me. Like korban, how come it doesn't say though, korban she'ani ochel im alecha?
I see what you're getting at. Yeah, the phrasing can feel a little unusual because it's kind of idiomatic. In the Talmudic language, when they say something like korban shani ochel lecha, it's really just a shorthand way of saying this thing that I might eat with you is now like a korban to me, so I'm not going to eat it. Even though literally it might sound like the food I'm eating to you is a
technically it's just another way of saying korban shani ochel ma shani ochel im lecha.
Exactly. You nailed it. It's basically just a shorthand or a kind of idiomatic way of saying this thing that I would eat with you is now like a korban to me. So, yeah, in more casual terms, it's just another way of saying korban on whatever I would eat with you. So, you got the gist of it perfectly.
All right. ואם אמר בלשון אחר, אוקיי, ואם אמר בלשון אחר, בכינוי נדר, diktani lekaman. What does it mean, diktani lekaman?
Sure. So the imamar b'lashon acher means, and if he said it in a different language using some other phrase.
What does it mean lekaman? Diktani lekaman, as it's taught later, no?
Oh, got it. Yeah, exactly. When it says diktani lekaman, it basically means as it teaches later on, or as it will be stated further down the line. So you're right on the money. Lekaman just means later on in the text or coming up soon. So it's basically saying, as we'll explain a bit further on.
Diktani lekaman, konam shani nehene lecha. This thing is a konam. What I'm eating with you is a konam shani nehene lecha. It's like a nickname. Or konas shani lechane lecha. Konas like shani nehene lecha. This thing is like a konas, right? His meaning is a korban. right? Konas shani nehene de'im kina de'im kina lekorban behani leshonot. Now mityaser behu. What does it mean mityaser behu? He begins. He is like vowed behu benedarim. What does it mean mityaser behu? He's like forbidden behu. What does behu mean literally?
Absolutely. Let's break that down. So you're right that when they're using these alternative terms like konam or konas, those are just kind of nicknames or substitute words for korban, right? It's just another way of making a vow. Now, when it says mit yasar bahu, that really means he becomes forbidden by them or he is bound by them in a vow. And bahu literally just means by it or through it. So in other words, by using those substitute words, he is also now under the vow, just like he would be with the regular word korban. So mit yasar bahu was like saying he is prohibited through it or he is now restricted by it. So yeah,
Yeah,
you got it.
מתייסר,
It's just
נמי מתייסר בהו בנדרים, כמו שאמר גבי קרבן וכן בכינוי, אוקיי, כמו שאמר גבי קרבן וכן בכינוי, וכן בכינוי חרמים, כל כינוי חרמים. So now it continues. Now it continues, no? So it says, כמו שאמר אסור גבי קרבן, שאסור גבי קרבן וכן בכינוי חרמים כחרמים וכן כינוי שבועות כשבועות. Excuse me.
yeah, exactly. So it's just continuing the same idea and kind of broadening it out. It's saying just like when you say it with the word korban, it's forbidden. The same thing applies if you use these substitute terms. So if you use a kind of nickname for a vow, it works the same way. And then it's saying the same principle applies for other types of vows like haramim, which are consecrations, and shaguot, which are oaths. So basically, it's laying out that all these substitute terms work just like the original terms, and you end up just as bound by them. So yeah, it all just kind of flows.
בהוא. אוקיי, קוקין נדרם דעיקר נדר דכתיב בתורה, איש כי ידור נדר דאמר קרבן שאני אוכל לך או קרבן שאני נכנה לך, ואם אמר בלשון אחר בכינוי נדר כדקטני לקמן כונס שאני נכנה לך או כונס שאני נכנה לך, דאם קינה לקרבן בהני לשונות, נמי מתייסר בהו בנדרים, כמו שאמר גבי קרבן, וכן כינויי חרמים כחרמים, וכן כינויי שבועות כשבועות. שבועות. וכן כינויי שבועות כשבועות. מפרש לקמן. Okay, so summarize really quick. What do you understand from that whole Rashi or the unknown Rashi?
Absolutely. Let me give you a quick summary of what that whole piece is saying. Basically, the Rashi or this commentary is explaining that the main kind of vow mentioned in the Torah is when someone says something is like a korban, so they won't eat it or benefit from it. And then it says that if you use other substitute words, like a nickname for a vow, it's still considered a vow. And it applies the same way, not just for vows, but also for other kinds of consecrations and for oaths. And it wraps up by saying, we'll explain more about that later in the text. So, in short, it's just telling you that any substitute wording works the same as the original terms, and that you'll see more details about it as you go on.
Alright. מודר אני ממך, כלומר, הרי עלי כנדר, הרי עלי כנדר מה שאני נהנה ממך. אוקיי, כלומר, הרי עלי כנדר מה שאני נהנה לך. Okay, so הרי, okay, so explain that part real quick though.
Absolutely. So that part is really just giving another example of how a vow can be phrased. When it says modarani mimcha, it means I am vowing off from you, or I'm making a vow concerning any benefit from you. In other words, it's like saying, it is upon me like a vow that I won't get any benefit from you. So that phrase is really just another way of saying I'm treating anything I might benefit from.
So it says in the Mishnah, it says, כל כינוי נדרים כנדרים וחרמים כחרמים ושבועות כשבועות ונזירות כנזירות, האומר לחברו מודרני מודרני ממך, מפורשני ממך, מרוחקני ממך, שאני אוכל לך, שאני טעם לך, אסור אסור. Alright, so this means that the question is that the question is modar ani mimcha must also be a nickname of a vow.
Exactly. You've got it. So what the Mishnah is really saying is that all these different phrases, whether you're saying modar ni mimcha or mifarasha ni mimcha, which just means I'm separated from you, I'm distanced from you, they're all just different nicknames or alternative expressions for making a vow. And the Mishnah is teaching that all of these count the same way as the standard language of a vow. So yeah, modar ni mimcha is indeed another form or kind of nickname phrase that still creates the same binding vow.
Alright. כלומר, הרי עלי כנדר מה שאני נהנה ממך, או אם לומר, that's what it seems like it's saying here, מפורשני ממך, בהני לשון, או אמר מרוחק אני ממך, דמשמע, דמתייסר נפשי ולא מתייסר מיני. So what is this whole thing? מתייסר נפשי ולא מתהנה מיני.
Absolutely. Let's break that down. So what it's saying here with all these different phrases, like saying mifarashani mucha or meruchakani mucha, which is just other ways of saying I'm separated from you or I'm distanced from you, is that all of these are just different ways of putting yourself under a vow not to benefit from the other person. And when it says mityasar nafshe below mityasar mene, it means he is forbidding.
It doesn't say demashma demityasar nafshe velo mit. It says velo mithane mine velo mem yud taf hey nun yud.
Oh, I see what you mean. Thanks for that correction. So yeah, when it says velo mitane mine, it's basically saying, and he does not get benefit from him. In other words, the person is making it so that he's forbidding himself from benefiting from the other person. It's not that he's putting a restriction on the other guy. He's putting a restriction on himself so that he won't derive any benefit from that person. So yeah, it's really about self-restriction rather than restricting the other person. Thanks.
וכל הנה כיוון דלא מפרש ממש וכל what does it mean וכל hani or hane hey nun yud, what does that mean, like v'kol hani or hane keivan, how do you explain that, v'kol hine, or what is this whole thing?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So when you see a phrase like v'kol hane or hane, that's just kind of Aramaic or Talmudic shorthand for saying, and all of these, or all these kinds of expressions. It's basically referring to all these different phrases we've been talking.
How do you know it's not saying v'kol hine?
Yeah, fair point. It's a good question to ask. In these kinds of texts, hane or hane is a pretty common Aramaic way of saying these or these things. It's kind of a known shorthand in Talmudic language. Hine would be more like behold or look, which is a different word and usually looks a little different.
V'kol hane delo mefaresh mamash leneder. Delo midkar be shum lashon karban havian yados. So hold up. Mamash damashma demityasar nafshe velo mithane mine velo v'kol hane כיוון דלא מפרש ממש לנדר Delo midkar be shum lashon karba. Okay, so what's this last part over here? Havian the lo midkar be shum lashon karban havian yadot.
Absolutely. Let's break that last part down. So basically, what it's saying is that all these kinds of phrases, these hane or these expressions, even though you're not explicitly saying the word korban or literally mentioning the language of a vow, they still count as a form of a vow. In other words, these are called yadot, which are like partial or shorthand expressions that still have the full legal effect. So even though you're not saying korban outright, these kinds of phrases still work as a vow and they still make it binding. So that's basically what that last bit is summing up.
All right. Velo mit velo mit hane mine v'kol hane kevan de lo mefaresh. Okay, what does it mean? V'kol hane kevan de lo mefaresh mamash leneder.
Absolutely. Let's break that down. So when it says the kol hane, it's saying and all these, meaning all these kinds of expressions. Kevan de lo mafarish mamash leneder means since they are not explicitly stated as a vow. In other words, you're not literally using the word vow or korban. So the phrase is really just saying that even though these expressions aren't explicitly using the formal language of a vow, they still count as vows. That's basically the gist of that part.
Okay, v'kol hane kevan de. What does it mean kevan? Does that mean since? Oops. Yo, doesn't kevan mean since?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Kavon does indeed mean since. It's basically the word that sets up the reasoning. So it's saying, since these expressions don't explicitly spell out a vowel, they still.
V'kol hane kevan since de lo mefaresh mamash leneder de lo midkar be shum lashon karban havian yadot. Okay. Dang, that's crazy. So muder ani mimcha kelomar hare alai keneder מה שאני נהנה ממך או אמר מפורשני ממך בהני לשון או אמר מרוחק אני ממך דמשמע דמתייסר נפשי ולא מתייסר מתהנה מיני וכל הנה כיוון דלא מפרש ממש לנדר דלא מתקר בשום לשון קרבן הוויין ידות. Okay, so you were wrong. They're not a neder. It's not a kinoi. It's a yadot.
You're spot on. Yeah, thanks for catching that. So you're right. What it's really saying is these aren't just alternative nicknames for a vowel. They're actually what are called yado, which means like partial or shorthand expressions that still count as a full vowel. So it's a subtle distinction, but you're absolutely right. These phrases are considered Tractate Nedarim, which is kind of like a handle of a vowel, and they still make it fully binding.
All right.
Thanks for pointing that out.
All right, that's pretty good, man. That's pretty cool. All right. Having Yadot menudeh ani lecha kmo. Okay, so in the Mishnah it says kol kinui nedarim k'nedarim v'charam k'charam v'shavot k'shavot v'nezirut k'nezirut v'haomer לחברו מודרני ממך, מפורשני ממך, מרוחקני ממך, שאני אוכל לך, שאני תואם לך, אסור, מנודה אני לך, רבי עקיבא היה חוכך, he was uncertain בזה, חוכך means what? Yo, what does it mean, chokech?
Yeah, absolutely. So in that context, when it says Rabbi Akiva haya chokech,
No, what does it mean? Yo.
oh yeah, sure. So in this context, when it's in
What does it mean? What is it?
Got it. So when it says Rabbi Akiva,
What?
oh, I hear you. Let's dive right into it. In this context, Hokech basically,
What does it mean?
absolutely. Let me jump right in.
What does it mean, chokech?
Sure, let me explain that. When it says Rabbi Akiva Hayachokech, it means Rabbi Akiva was uncertain or he
Okay, okay,
was
okay.
in doubt about
Okay,
it.
okay, okay, okay,
Basically,
okay, okay,
Chokech
okay.
here is like saying he
So,
was
so
hesitating
let's
or not
continue.
fully
Let's continue.
decided. So
כמו
that's the gist of what
שאם
the word means in
היה
this passage.
מנודה אני לך, כמו שאם היה בנדודי דאסור לי לישנה
Absolutely. Let me clarify that. So,
Oh, dang it. All right. So, מנודה אני לך, כמו שאם היה
of course,
בנדודי...
in this
Okay,
context,
hold
Chokech
up.
means that Rabbi Akiva
Yo,
was uncertain or in
yo,
doubt.
yo, yo.
Basically, he was deliberating or not fully sure about the ruling. So, Chokech here just means he was
Yo,
kind
yo, yo. All right, so next part. So it says, כמו מנודה אני ממך. מנודה אני ממך. כמו שאם היה... אוקיי, מנודה אני... sorry. מנודה אני לך. כמו שאם היה בנדוי דאסור לישה וליתן... לישא... מנודה אני לך כמו שאם היה בנדויי דאסור לי לישא וליתן בהדיא כן אסר נפשי עלי. Okay, so explain this part real quick. Yo. Alright, you guys, so we have to kind of how do I say, take it easy on this guy over here. Otherwise he might explode. Alright, so let's check it out. Dang, look at this, 27 minutes. Dang. Okay, that was good. That was good feedback. Alright. God forbid. We don't want this guy to explode. So, all right, yo.
Okay, got it. So
right.
yeah, basically it just means he was unsure or kind of hesitating.
Okay. So it says מנודה אני לך כמו שאם היה בנדויי דאסור לי לישא וליתן בהדיא כן אסר נפשי עלי. So explain this part real quick.
Absolutely. So that part is basically saying that when someone says minudea nilacha, it's like declaring I am excommunicated from you or I am banned from you in a way similar to how if someone were actually excommunicated, they wouldn't be allowed to have normal dealings like doing business or having social interactions. So the person's basically putting that status on himself toward the other person.
Okay. מנודה אני לך כמו שאם היה בנידוי. Like no, like nidu is like excommunicated. Dasur le lisav litan, because okay, dasur, because for somebody who's it's not this, somebody who's nidui isn't translated as excommunicated, no?
Yeah, that's a good point. Nidui isn't exactly full excommunication in the harshest sense. It's more like a form of temporary ban or a lesser form of.
It's like his banned. Okay, but what's this whole thing? Is that like a halachic concept or something?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it says asorle lisavilitin, that's basically a halakhic concept. It means that the person who is under nidui or this type of ban is not allowed to have normal interactions like business dealings or regular social interactions with others. So it's a halakhic restriction that
Okay,
comes
okay,
along
okay.
with that.
כמו שאם היה בנידוי, somebody who's banned, דאסור לי לישא וליטן, בהדיא כן אסר נפשי עלי. Okay, so behedia means explicitly, no?
Yeah, exactly. You got it. So behedia does indeed mean explicitly or directly. In other words, just like someone who's under a nedue is explicitly not allowed to
Oh,
engage in normal interactions, this person is making himself explicitly forbidden from those
right.
interactions with the other
Yo,
person.
yo, yo. So, okay, behedia ken asar nafshe ale. Okay, ken asar. So too, this guy forbid his soul upon this thing. That to what he said. Modeh menudeh ani lecha. No.
Yeah, you got it exactly. So when it says "ken asar nafsheale," it means in the same way he has forbidden himself, basically put a restriction on himself through that wording of menudei anilachai. So yeah, he's treating himself like someone who is in nidui, and he's explicitly putting that kind of restriction on himself. You got it right.
But what does it mean? Ale, like ale is upon it, meaning it what?
Yeah, good question. So when it says alay, which literally means upon it or on it, it's referring back to the vow or the restriction he's making. Basically, he's placing that prohibition upon himself. So
Uh,
alay is kind of a shorthand way of,
mm,
yeah, I get what you're asking. So in this case, when it says alay, it's really just
okay,
pointing back to,
כמו שאם היה בנידוי דאסור ללישא וליטן, it's forbidden upon him to deal in business, behead explicitly, כן אסר נפשי עלי, upon it. How do you know upon it doesn't mean upon the object he's placing himself against? מנודה אני לך. When he says מנודה אני לך, what does that mean?
absolutely, I see what you're getting at. So when he says menu de anilacha, he's basically saying, I am banned or separated from you, almost like he's putting himself under a kind of personal ban in relation to that other person.
So how come it
So the
doesn't say?
alay,
How come it doesn't say? כמו שאם היה בנידוי דאסור לישא וליטן, just as how a banned person is forbidden from engaging in business, so too this guy is forbidden to him. How does alay? Does the alay means him, not to it? No.
yeah, I get what you're saying. In this context, alay really is just a way of saying upon himself in relation to that person. It's not so much it as an object, it's more
No,
that he's,
upon him, the person, because it says "Menude ani lecha," I am banned to you. So when he says "Ken asar nafshe alei," so too he forbid his soul upon him, the guy who he said when he was saying "Menude ani lecha," I'm forbidden, I'm banned upon you, from you. No.
yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's a great clarification. In this case, when he says alay, it really does mean upon him, referring to the other person. So it's like he's placing this restriction of being menude, banned, specifically in relation to that other individual. You're spot
Okay.
on. It's not
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Rabbi Akiva haya chokech baze la'chamir. So he was okay. So when it says menude ani lecha, Rabbi Akiva haya chokech baze, he was concerned about this la'chamir. What does it mean la'chamir?
absolutely. So when it says Rabbi Akiva haya chokech b'zeh lehachmir, it means that Rabbi Akiva was uncertain about it and leaned towards being more stringent. Lahachmir means to be stringent or to take the stricter opinion. So he was kind of unsure,
La'chamir. Okay.
and there
So Rabbi Akiva haya chokech baze la'chamir Hava mechakech lechachamir deasur nami deinyan neder hu velo barir le. Okay, so velo barir le. Okay, so okay. So asur menude. Okay, lechachamir. How do you know? Okay, so lechachamir chamar. Chamar means like to be strict. It doesn't mean to be cherem.
Yeah, exactly. So lahachmir definitely means to be strict or to
But
take a more
strict
stringent
about what?
approach.
Like strict about what? Like meaning what does that mean that he wasn't strict, that he was not strict? He was uncertain to be strict upon this.
Yeah, definitely. So in this context, when it says Rabbi Akiva was inclined to be strict, it means he was unsure about the exact ruling, and so he leaned towards a more stringent interpretation. In other words, if there was any doubt about whether the vow was really binding or how serious it was, he'd take the stricter route and treat it as fully binding. So it's just about being
Okay,
careful
can
and
you say
going
that
with
again?
the
Hey, can you say that again? Say it again real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, when it says Rabbi Akiva was inclined to be strict, it means that because he was uncertain about the ruling, he took the more stringent approach. In other words, if there was any doubt, he go with the stricter interpretation to treat the vow as fully binding.
No,
It's
no.
basically just about
Chokech. He was. It says he was chokech bazela chamir. He was uncertain upon this to be stringent upon this. Don't you think? Don't you think? It's completely opposite from what you're saying.
I see what you're getting at. Yeah, that's a good nuance. So basically, when it says he was hokech bazeh lahachmir, it's like he was unsure or deliberating specifically about whether to be stringent. So it's not that he was definitely lenient. It's more like he was debating it and leaning towards being strict, but not fully certain. So yeah, you're right. It's about him kind of wavering on how strict to be. Thanks for pointing that out.
All right. So, Rabbi Akiva haya chokech bazela chamir hava mechakech lachamir deasur nami deinyan neder hu velo barir le. Okay, the nami the asur nami. Okay, what is asur nami? Meaning the when somebody's nidui.
Absolutely. So when it says a sornami, it means it is also forbidden. In this context, it's basically saying that Rabbi Akiva was debating whether this situation is also considered forbidden in terms of a vow. And below barir le means it was not clear to him. So he wasn't sure whether this type of statement is also forbidden like a regular vow. And that was the uncertainty he had.
Okay, the inyan nederhu, because somebody who's menudeh, it's also considered a neder. Velo barir le. So, but it wasn't clear to him. So, what does it mean though that he was uncertain to be stringent in this? Meaning to be stringent that it's a vow, or what?
Yeah, you got it. Essentially, what it means is that he was uncertain whether to be strict and treat this kind of statement as if it were a full fledged vow. In other words, he was deliberating whether this Menudeh and Ilachat statement should be taken as seriously and as binding as a regular vow. So, yeah, it's about being stringent in the sense of considering it a full vow, and he just wasn't certain whether to do that.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay, but then it says later on in this Rashi, in this commentary, Hava mechakech lachamir de asur nami, because also forbidden. The inyan nederhu, because a person who's menudeh it's also considered a neder. Who velo barirle, but it wasn't known to him. So the inyan nederhu, it's this vow is still considered a neder.
Yeah, exactly. So what it's really getting at is that the status of being Menudeh, being sort of banned or separated, can also be viewed as a type of vow-like prohibition. And Rabbi Akiva was just not certain whether to fully treat it that way. So yeah, you're spot on.
Okay.
It's saying
Okay. Okay, sounds good. All right. All right, you guys. So we just finished, thank God, the first page, the Rashis, meaning the first page commentary on the first main commentary on the first page. And with God's help, next video we'll do the Tosfot, we'll do the Ran, on the Nedarim. With God's help, we got so many interesting projects kind of running around over here. Um, so yeah, good job for everybody who's been staying around. Pretty cool session with all the translations. Other than that, yeah, hopefully, you guys, with God's help, we'll be back with you guys in the next video. All right, you guys, peace.